Hey, Don here. Hang on. Okay. I was trying to find a better way to get my sound, make sure my video and sound is working on my live stream without having to interrupt the beginning of every stream to do it, but it just confuses me more. And I noticed I did it a couple times, actually fairly successfully in the past couple of videos I was making. And when I watched them back, well, you could hear. I normally don't ever turn on the sound on my monitoring. While I was doing the monitoring on the same computer. That was what it was. I was using, instead of using the laptop, I was monitoring my live stream on this computer. And so when I turned on the audio, it played into my recording on OBS Studio, and it was like, and it'd be a bad echo, basically, of the same thing. So, because it's playing it, I'm not going to go into it. So anyway, I'm going to do another video on MotionEyeOS here at the top. I installed it on my Raspberry Pi. I have a Raspberry Pi Model B, the first, like Raspberry Pi A, Raspberry Pi B, and then 2 and 3 and 4. Well, I have the Raspberry Pi Model B. 700 megahertz, 512 megabyte of RAM. And this MotionEyeOS runs on it. Well, you picked the right image. I figured that out on here on the GitHub page. This is the page where you can pick them. See, where am I on here? It kind of threw me around in circles, but I ended up finding the link to this. Anyway, the image that I put on there is this one here, MotionEyeOS Raspberry Pi 2019-0911. See, then there's 2, 3, and 4, and there's several other, single board computers, different things like that. So that they support. It's not real big, it doesn't use up a lot of space. It runs just great on there. Of course, I couldn't figure out how to get any. I was just trying my webcams. And then I did try to get because I have an IP camera running. I did try to get it in there, and I couldn't get it working. And I figured it out today. I just turned it on, and just started messing with it, and I figured it out. So I thought I would do a video and show it. But let's see if I just click on MotionEyeOS. Yeah, it goes back to the first page of this MotionEyeOS, and this is what you see. You see clone or download. And if you do that drop-down list, all you see is just that. You don't have any other in the list. It says branch dev. And that's, that was the way I was going at trying to make sure I was getting the right one. So well, I guess all they have is development. Dev is for development version. So I thought, okay, I'll have to do that. And I was beginning to try to figure out all the instructions. But right here, releases, this tiny little links right up here. And I don't know if they changed it, like the size of the text here or what, but, I've been using this site, on and off for years and years, 10, maybe more years, 15 years. And anyway, click on releases, and that gets you to the page where you can actually find all the specific versions for specific hardware. The other one would probably, you might be able to get it to work on one that's not listed if you use this one. But that's what I'm guessing. So anyway, it's already on there. It's running in my previous videos. I'll put this in the playlist with the previous videos when I'm done. And actually, this is where I got where the light went on in my brain. I went back to this page, which is, let's see if I can do something to be able to find this quick. This page here is an article that I had found. It's on a site called PyMyLifeUp.com. Kind of a silly name, isn't it? I guess silly should go along with it's supposed, the Raspberry Pi was supposedly aimed at children for educating children, but first couple of years there, it was just old guys like me that had any interest in it, but I don't know. I haven't followed. After the first couple of 3 years, I didn't follow them a whole lot. So I don't know. Maybe they've got some education programs going now. I don't really know how much of it's. Only thing I know about it, I live in North Texas in the United States, and the only thing I know of is all the schools have. First, they got laptops, not all of them, but it was a big, they put it on the news. It was something new a few years ago, several years ago. Now, I think they mostly give them tablets, and they belong to the school, and kind of like back in the olden days when we had books printed on paper, you check them out and check them in and all that stuff. But, of course, I'm kidding. I'm sure they still have books, but. So this is the article, and it shows you how to do it in, the way. I didn't pay a lot of attention to it. I was just kind of looking for some, because I wasn't going to do this exact thing here. They're going to use that as a hub. And use the Pi camera. There's the Pi camera in a little enclosure you can get for them. Well, it's a 3D printed enclosure. I think this looks like maybe one that they sell. They sell 3D printed enclosures, and of course, lots of people have made their own and stuff. So it tells you, things you need step by step from start to finish. And there's plugging in the camera, downloading, and I kind of used that. That was where I paid attention to it, is in the downloading, and easiest way to format the SD card and stuff, and because the software's changed over the years, and the one I used was real easy. I thought it was listed in here, or maybe it's not, but I don't want to go over this forever. I tend to take too long on everything, so setting up the camera, and that's the Raspberry Pi camera. Well, I was going to try to use, and this MotionEyeOS supports USB, Raspberry Pi cameras, USB cameras, and IP network cameras, and that's the thing that I'm going to start out talking about. And maybe I'll go ahead and try my USB cameras again, because I saw something that that I missed before. So it starts out saying, click on the 3 lines with dots on the on them in the upper left hand corner. So I'll just kind of go through that as I go. So I've already got my system up and running, so I'll have to log in again. And I have what did I do wrong? Oh, don't say. Don't imagine I'm going to want the administrative password. Well, since there's 2 ways to log in, regular user or administrator, I didn't want to save it, but it sure is driving me crazy. I'm looking at where I have my password written down, and still got it wrong. Okay, so here's the camera I added earlier, and that's the one I'm actually using as a security camera. It's one of my phones, so that's what it is. And so it's up and running. Now there's there's no dots. I don't know if maybe things have changed in it since that was written on them, because they're just 3 lines. And if you click on that, it'll actually log you out and put you back into the login screen. It says change user, switch user. It brings up the setup, and over from the side, and then you can go through and set things up. And what I did. Oh, here's something to watch out for. I think this was. I'm not sure how come it happened that way, but when I went to it, I went and looked at the. When I booted up the Pi, I made sure I was looking at it in its command line, and when it boots up, because this doesn't have a GUI, and so I watched it to see what make sure I knew the IP address, and so I put it in here, and it went to 172. And then it went to port 8081, and it was trying to load one of those cameras that I didn't even have plugged in, that didn't work last time, those USB cameras. And what it should have done is gone to, I think maybe I just was, I started typing and it came up, so I hit enter. I don't really know. But so what I ended up having to do is delete what I'm talking about. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, that's what it looked like. And so I had to delete that and hit enter. If I do that again, I think it might make me log in again, so I won't do it again. So I finally got to the page, and that was because of me having it was in my in my cache of websites I'd been to. I think is what it was, because I didn't go to I have links. Well, not right here, but well, yeah, there they are, right there. That's where it went to instead of there. So, but I wasn't using my bookmarks. So, if you get hung up there, then just make sure that you don't have anything extra on the end of your IP address, and it'll bring you to the login screen. Is what it does. Then you log in and everything. If it's your first login, then you'll use the it's in more than one set of instructions, like these here. It'll tell you, I think it's admin. It's either admin for the user and blank for the password, or admin. I can't even remember right now. And I already changed mine, when I started. So anyway, okay, so you have to know how, for an IP camera, it has a little, I'm going to do one, but I thought I would try to run over the basic, what's in here. Might be confusing myself, but this is the IP address I have to use. And you can't just use the IP address. This is of this camera, my phone camera, with using IP webcam, and that's the app I'm using to stream my camera over my local network. And so that's the key, is depending on the software you're using, or if you had a regular IP security cam, however its software does it, you have to know how to do the address. And what it is with this is it has to be the IP port 8080 and then / video with no trailing /. I learned that from using OBS Studio. I'll go to camera 2, go to it here in OBS Studio. See, when I learned to set up OBS Studio, that's what I'm using to do my live stream. That's how I had already it all clicked today. I was like, oh yeah, you've got to do it that way. I don't think I was even trying it right the last time. I think I was getting the address right. Well, I hope that my neighbor's dog just started barking just because I'm making a video and it will not shut up. Usually it doesn't pick up in the mic. Hopefully it's not. But no, I don't see well, of course I can't see that direction, but there's nobody outside there from what I can see. That dog just barks. If it's outside, it barks. Sometimes, I don't know. Anyway, it might be useful if you knew that it only barked when there was something wrong out there, So, now here's the way I did this is I still had that the last USB cam I tried to add. I did add it, but it didn't work, didn't get a picture. And so I had seen this the last time I was doing all this. I just right-clicked on the camera. Let's see, how'd you do it? No, you don't do it that way. I don't even remember how you get... Oh, well, you can do that, I think. Yeah, remove camera. So if you click on the camera and then hit that, you can delete it. That's one. There's a couple ways you can do it, but that's the way I did it. And then it comes up with a little bitty blue link up here that says, you don't have any cameras, don't you want to add one? And so that's what I did. Looking at this article, it tells you, that's why I'm going over this about the three lines with dots on them. And now in the upper left-hand corner, and click the drop-down box and select Add a Camera. Okay, let's try that again then. All it does is do that. You can click it all day long, and all it's going to do is toggle back and forth between you know, if you have a camera, the camera view and the setting preferences and all the settings. Now I have looked through here, and I can't find, like, that's the delete, and that's because I'm on a camera. I think if you somehow, oh yeah, now this is what changes. If I click on that, it'll log me out. That's a switch user. And oops, that's too little. I was thinking, well, maybe it's hiding over there to the left, but there's nothing, you know, like some dots or something. But it said click on the lines with the dots, but there are no dots. It's just lines. I think the software has changed. Over here on the right, if you click on that, well, it doesn't bring up any menus. I forgot what it does now, but I think it logs you out too, which is kind of odd, you know. Well, I can see when you switch users, it would, you know, it would lock you out, but this one I think kind of does the same thing. So anyway, let me see. So I'm at this point. Say I want to add another camera. I can't find a spot to add another camera though. I looked around a bit and didn't find it. And I thought, well, maybe I'll follow these instructions and find it. But I didn't miss. I'm seeing now that I didn't miss anything in this instructions. I thought maybe I just missed something. And here's the basic what I followed. That's when I saw it, and I'm familiar with setting this kind of stuff up. See, when I saw that, I was like, oh yeah. Well, and then I go, okay, I'll just go over there and copy and paste my URL from. Well, I went into IP webcam and see. I just went like, here's the other. I've got that camera 3 running, pointed at the monitor right now. So I just copied and pasted that, and then that actually, now this is a different way to see the camera. You're going to the web page, you know, the web server of IP webcam that you can go at. You can look at the cameras, you can control them to a certain extent with this. And so anyway, along the way, I finally realized that I need to put my address in there this way. The sources, that's just the name of the source, and I just go ahead and give it the name of its IP. That helps me. And over here in the scenes, I give them, like, you know, descriptive names. So let's get back. I don't know if I was on the desktop how long have I maybe not been on the desktop? I hope I haven't been doing a desktop video in my brain and doing a camera video in reality. But so anyway, and I don't, mine only shows up in my local network, so I don't worry about a you know, username and password, because, you know, you'd have to break into my routers and to see it, and that'd be one of the last things I'd be worried about, is you seeing my camera. You know, if you break into my routers, and I've got other things to worry about. So anyway, I went through that and it worked good. I don't know if I'm going to be able to, let's see. Yeah, I already did it on this page. This is the only spot on this whole instructional page where you, of this particular one, add a camera. You know, I just thought maybe I should go to the, maybe there's some instructions on the MotionEyeOS page. Add camera. Let's go back to, see how to do that. Just click on that. Yeah. See if they have any documentation or anything. Maybe there's a link down here. Follow us on Facebook. Yeah, they don't have much on here. Oh, wiki. Maybe that'll tell us something. I got a Google forum, Google Groups forum. I'd already been there before. It was already, supported devices. Okay, installation instructions. So supported devices, that's how I figured out that my Raspberry Pi would work. And so, yeah, there's your whole list of supported devices right there, go through it just a little slower so that you can get an idea. So yeah, it supports quite a few devices. I think that's because it's not real heavyweight software. So the installation instructions, maybe this will help. I've been there before too. I'm trying to make sure it's in the right folder. It tells you the manual way to write the image in the command line, and then the first boot. It tries to auto-configure any detective camera devices, and it did. That's what it did. That's why I never worried about looking for add a camera until it came up, whenever I deleted all the cameras. Or, well, I think I deleted one, and then it said, do you want to add a camera, Okay, I don't see anything about add camera there. I don't see the word add in there either. Is this just, what is this? This is, okay, pages. Let's click on that camera link over there. First network camera. Fast network camera. Oh, this is another project. No? No, it's part of it. This is talking about using yeah, this is not where I'm, what I'm trying to do. So I'll just leave that page open. Okay, so I didn't expect to be stuck. And I left this open just so I could actually I need to get my IP out of, I just wanted to show it. Yeah, I can close this now. I want and get the exact URL and exactly what it needs to be out of OBS Studio that I'm streaming with. Okay, but again, and saying right-clicking doesn't do anything but bring up the regular Firefox menus. Clicking on that. Same thing. Now you can click on this, and that brings you to the settings for camera 1. And all it is in the same, preferences. Okay, network, services, video device. See, this is the settings for this video device. File storage, text, video streaming. Still images. Instead of just, I really miss things easily, so I'm going to get every one of these expanded. I think they'll stay, at least. That's the thing. One thing I don't like about menus that you have to expand for them to show up, because then when you're trying to find something, by searching the page, is what I'm fixing to do. It ain't going to show up if it's not expanded. Okay, now everything's expanded, I think. Sometimes you have to be in that. That is a frame. You have to be in the right frame sometimes. The word add is not in there. Fast network off. Camera name. So maybe I'd like to figure out what it is, where you do this, because I noticed they said the word devices. Let's see. Listen on port 80 to access the enter IP address of your board and the address of the bar. To find the address, connect to your router. Yes, I know. It's just telling you how to find your IP address. Okay. Well, let me go back to that page. There's only one other page here in these instructions that, oops, went too fast. Now my laptop's warming up over there. You can't drag these around when there's only one. I think maybe it's been hidden because it was right in there where it shows. What if this preview of this camera is hiding it? That's the normal view you would have, and however many cameras you have. And see this one here, open pictures in a browser, open movies. That's things you've saved to the drive. In this case, it's a flash card on the Raspberry Pi. That's what you should. And you can go full screen like that, which is really good. Of course, expect that out of this kind of software. But, and you click on it again, and the controls will go away, and it'll be like that. And I already used it when I did this earlier. As soon as I got it, I was like, "There's something sitting right here, in the left side in the yard." And I was like, "What is that?" And I can't see. The reason it doesn't look real good is because it's going through the window, through this window and the window screen. So that's what all those square. It looks like pixels or something, square pixels. Of course, pixels usually show up round, but that's why it doesn't look very good. And that's why, actually, I did finally order me an IP security camera that's an outdoor camera that I can put. Can't put your phone outside, So it hadn't got here yet, but. Anyway, if you do that, I don't have anything. I haven't saved anything to that right there. I don't know what it was. It's just a blank. Oh, that's maybe I clicked take a picture or something just to see what would happen. That's when I had, unable to open the device. That was the last other day, the 6th. Yeah, 11/6. And go out of there, and then you could play. There's no movies. I haven't done any of that. I don't have space on this SD card. But actually, if I use this as just a hub to connect to the cameras and had any video, sent to a server, then I wouldn't need a big SD card for this thing. It's a 4 gigabyte and it's got like another gig left. That's all I would need just to run, a connection interface to put it in. My idea is to put the Raspberry Pi in the living room and plug it into the TV. That would be pretty good. I had thought about that already. If I use only IP cameras, I wouldn't be using those old USB. I was just trying to put one of those up, so I didn't want to use my phones on 24/7, and I've already ruined 2 batteries doing that. Leaving them plugged in, and of course they'll go down if you don't leave them plugged in. Already run 2 batteries doing that, so I didn't want to run the last good battery I have. I'm actually using 2 phones right now, but I'm using one of those swollen batteries that actually will, if you unplug it and just leave the phone just laying there turned on, nothing running, other than the background apps, it will lose about 1% of charge per minute or so, something around that nature. So I think that battery's ruined. And the other one's still swelled so much you can't put it. It won't even go in. You can't even get the contacts to touch. It won't even go in there where you could put the lid on it. And the other one, this one here we're looking at, it's still okay. I haven't actually looked at it's swelling. It hasn't been swelling, but it's been on for a week or so now. I've other than taking it down and messing with it some, here and there. But yesterday I used it to make a video of putting in an ice maker. But okay, so I'm stuck on how in the heck do you add a device? Right clicking does nothing. I could just remove it and then but that'll I'll just give me one chance to add one more device. That's really weird. I'll click on that just to see if I've forgotten something. Click on the MotionEye. Yeah, it just logs you out. That's all it does. So I thought. Password I used is hard to type for me. I may have to. Let me check my. I think I'm gonna have to reboot my laptop. Then I'm previewing my stream on it. It's really working too hard. I'll just go ahead and reboot. I started to say, well, I could just turn off the browser for a little while, but I'm also using it as my web server, and that was the other thing. I was thinking today. The reason I even started messing, excuse me, gotta get to where I can see. The reason I even started messing with this is I was thinking, okay, I'm just going to turn this Raspberry Pi into a web server for now, because I ruined the battery on my Acer laptop running it for about 6 months as a web server. And it wasn't a new battery, but when I started, it would last for 2 hours, with the power off or with it not plugged in. Or there are times when there's times when our electricity went off for over 2 hours. And now it won't last 30 seconds, and it won't charge up. It won't charge up more than about 5% or 10%. Okay, so I don't want to do that to the battery in the Dell laptop that I'm using as my server right now. It's we bought a new one for it, and I don't want to mess it up. Okay, so back to trying. Okay, that logs you out. That's just the name that it gives it, its system name, like our host name. That'll log me out, switch user. Let me log into my, let's see, where's my, yeah, I was trying to remember where my keyboard was plugged in. I keep moving it around. I'm logging in back into my laptop. Gotta get the password. Can't remember it. Hopefully that'll it'll clear out all the cache and memory, and it won't. Sometimes it's running, the fan's running because it's just flat overheating, and sometimes it's really just that it needs a reboot because there's too many things have gotten running in the background, or too much cache used up. Or I really don't know for sure, every little detail what happens, but I have noticed that rebooting it actually seems to help better when it's been running a long time anyway. Helps better than just turning off the browser. And what I used to do is turn off the browser, close the browser down, and then open it back up again later. But then you usually got 5 or 10 minutes, and it was running that fan real hard again. So, but okay, maybe there's more running than I realize, So not that I'm not talking about like applications that I turned on, because I don't. The only thing I've turned on in the thing was Firefox. Well, but Firefox, just with it running on YouTube, that is one of the most resource-hungry applications, a web browser, and then YouTube is one of the most resource-hungry websites. So And it's not just good enough. And what I'm figuring out here is it's not good enough just to close Firefox and then open it back up. But rebooting the machine helps a lot more. That's what I'm trying to say. So it's booted back up. I think it's ready. I can, yeah. My brain is kind of half confused, and so I'm trying to think of 2 or 3 things at once. And that makes it worse. So I'm getting my laptop back to where I can monitor my live stream so that I can always know that it's not down, and that anytime I want to see if it has sound, then I just once I get the sound playing, then I mute it on the front of the machine, and I'll know if it's working or not. Okay, yeah, it just happened. It was already muted from before, but you have to unmute it in the play window too, you know, with the mouse. Okay, now, there's nothing there to add another device. So I think this thing is, well, that just makes no sense whatsoever. Okay, yeah, that's great that it would auto detect. Well, let it auto detect. The only thing it can auto detect is, well, it can auto detect USB. I know it did that. It's when I plugged them in, it saw them, but they weren't working. And when and maybe if my cameras were, you know, UPnP or some other form of network announcing cameras, then it might see them, but it doesn't see them. I mean, they're on the same router as the Raspberry Pi, you know, as a MotionEyeOS, and so it doesn't see anything automatically. I had to manually put it in there, but like I said, I had the link up there to do that with. It doesn't page up and down on the right side, just on the left. I'm just going to do a Google search. Before I delete, I was fixing to just say, I'm just going to delete that camera and try it again just to. I'll just do a search for it and see. Yeah, okay. Let's see. I think that might be back. Yeah. Adding ADDIND. Well, let's see. Oh, there's an issue. Look, there's all kinds of issues about it. I'm thinking I might want to plug in, like I was also going to try my USB cameras again. I'm thinking maybe I want to plug them in and then try. Let's go to this one. These are usually when it's issues, it's just a lot of back and forth with, you know, everybody saying it doesn't work. Yeah, there's somebody saying, how do I add cameras? When it was MotionPie, it used to be called MotionPie, and they changed the name. It was one at the top of the page. Yeah, so it's not just me. Make sure you log in as admin, which I did. the cameras combo box. Okay, that's the only place. What is a combo box? Okay, let's see. Make sure I'm not just opening the stuff for this camera. Preferences, camera, alias for the camera. I know what a drop-down menu is, and I know what all kinds of things are, but a combo box? What is that? Oh, you've got to be kidding me. Add camera. Well, cool deal. That to me, I didn't even think about that being a drop-down menu. Drop-down menus can be really screwy and a pain in the butt to work with when they can hide things that are like that. And okay, so yeah, that was one of my web cameras. It's still got that in the memory. Okay, so you got the menu here, right? But I don't want a video for Linux 2 camera. That's what that stands for. Type of video for Linux 2. There was a video for Linux. I didn't say 1 on it. I think it just said V4L. Now they call the next one video for Linux 2. Kind of like the way they do Grub. They call it Grub and then Grub 2. But they started calling Grub Legacy. The first one doesn't need a 1 on it. But I guess I've done that too. I'll probably never make another one. And then you do, and then it turns into kind of a deal figuring it all out. Okay, so I already know from before. Finally, okay, you've got all these options that I never saw this before, and all those other videos I was making before, and I almost never figured it out again today. Local MMAL camera. I don't know what that is. I have to learn about that too. Okay, a network camera, which is what I want, and then remote MotionEye camera, and then simple JPEG camera. So I want to add another network camera. I thought it would be much easier than this, so I think let's go ahead and I have to fix the spelling on that. Adding camera manually. There we go. That should be all right. Okay. Well, the camera name shows up. Now that makes sense to me. Next time if I forget. Okay. Sometimes you can figure it out. You notice it's not just me. I mean, look at all the results in Google there about everybody having a problem with it. Okay, so, and I didn't realize the last time that almost every one of these blanks, see, some of these blanks where you type in, some of them are actual drop-down menus, but they look just like fields to type into. That's why it throws me off so much. So it gets more to do with the graphics than anything that's just turned me around and around. When you have a drop-down menu, use something that looks like a button, not something that's just text, and then wouldn't confuse people. See, that shouldn't look like written text. It looks like something you could type into, but you actually can on that one. Cannot. That's actually a drop-down menu. That's why it threw me in circles. So the type of camera you want to add, the URL, and there's a pretty good example that actually I saw that /cams. I'm like, oh yeah, that did help me. That's pretty intuitive there. So what I want is this one here, and I can get it from kind of wherever I want. Well, I went to properties, so now I got to click on this and on here just to get to where I can copy and paste it. That's all I'm doing. Copy and then hit cancel so I don't mess up especially in the middle of my stream, huh? Okay, and check my sound. Yeah. I'll tell you what, that Dell laptop is really no good for monitoring my stream. It works it too hard. It's only a single core 1.6 gigahertz running the, like I said, the YouTube admin, live stream monitoring controlling page on a single core. Even though it wouldn't do it on anything, on Debane. I think it's Debane 8 that I'm running on. Wouldn't do it on Fedora. It couldn't run Fedora. But anyway, I don't know what that. I guess that explanation, red circle with an explanation point in it, is saying you have to pay attention to this. So, I just got the IP. Okay, so I click in there, and usually when you click in a box to type in, that stuff will go away, or you have to or it won't, and you have to highlight it and delete it yourself. This one in this case looks like it just goes away when you put something in there. Having so many different ways to do that is also another thing. Now, username, password, I don't use that on my local network cameras. And then the camera you wish to add. And I clicked in there, and it did that last time. And that is your only choice. So evidently, and that threw me for a loop because I thought I was going to have to type something in there. Then I saw, oh no, that's turned into a drop-down menu again. It's the screwiest drop-down menus I've ever seen, ever. They're really confusing. So, and it looks like a lot of people agree with that. Maybe they got tired of messing with it and didn't ever figure it out. So, you got to pay attention to what it's asking. Camera type, not camera name, and IP address, username, password I don't need. So I did not know that I guess it's accurate. I mean, I'm assuming this is accurate. It auto-detected it by going to that URL. Well, I can see that it did. So they're trying to make it easy, but it's kind of funny because they're trying so hard to make it easy, they're making it hard for people like me who are used to doing this kind of stuff and kind of understand how it works. I'm looking, to type in the information that I know how to do, and then it's trying to do it for you, but it's doing it kind of invisibly, and so I'm throwing me in circles. So anyway, looks like it actually, once you figure out how to operate their software, I think it's going to work pretty good. And then down here it says network cameras or IP cameras. Those are synonyms of each other these days, That's what most people call them IP cameras now. They're network cameras is what they really are. IP is the IP address, so they just say IP. I guess it seems, I don't know if they think it sounded cooler, for advertisement or what got it started, but I mean, network camera would make sense to most people. IP camera, first time I saw that, I was like, well, what is this, something new? And then, what are they talking about? And then when I just went and researched, it's like, oh, a network camera. So, and then our devices that natively stream RTSP or MJPEG. So that's it's not the codec. Well, it could be a different codec and still be encapsulated in a MJPEG stream or an RTSP stream. So it all evidently mine are encapsulated. My codec is MKV. I know that. It's an MP4. That's what I'm streaming off these cameras. It's an MP4, but it's called MKV. And why they do that, I never have figured out why they decided they needed to have two different, sets of. It's the file extension you get when you save the file. Is that's what you'd probably most often recognize is the file extension if you saved videos, or made videos. If you edit your video and encode it, Anyway, it's encapsulated. My only one choice here is MJPEG stream. So evidently the IP webcam application is making I know it's an MP4 with a file extension of MKV, and now I realize that it is encapsulated in an MJPEG stream, and that's what you use. So you can use different, some codecs, video codecs, don't stream well, so you can stream them. Encapsulate them in something that streams well. That's one of the reasons, I guess, why they started doing that. And how it's evolved to the way it is now. It used to be MPEG video, and you had a choice of dot wave audio or real audio, which was dot or RM or something like that. I used to actually like it better. It actually worked better, but then it went kind of basic. I guess they just kind of went. It was open source in the beginning before I really knew what open source was. This is back when I was running Windows 98 in early 2000s, and actually 98. I started running Windows 98 in 98, so 99 to 01 or something like that, and then I got XP, and then in 05 I discovered Linux, and I have used Linux as my main operating systems ever since. So anyway, I'm going off and round in circles. Let me start at the beginning of this and try to read a whole sentence. Probably sounds confusing what I'm doing here. Network cameras or IP cameras are devices that natively stream RTSP or MJPEG videos or plain JPEG images, still images. Consult your device's manual to find out the correct RTSP, MJPEG, or JPEG URL. That's what I'm trying to say. Your phone manual is not going to explain this to you. You're not going to get this part right here, the streaming URL from your phone manual. You're going to get it from the software manual that you're using to do the streaming. And all that mumbo jumbo that I was going on and on about, that all depends on what you need to do. In the past, when I learned how to do this with VLC VideoLAN and software VLC. It'll play and it'll stream too, and it's really powerful. And I had to learn how to, what to type in where and everything to get it to work. And actually, I learned that, and I got it working years ago. Used to do it. I could do it with video. I used to make my videos that way. I used one of my first long video series I made working on my old 76 Blazer. I did it using two old Pentium 1 computers and my two old webcams that I have now. They were kind of old at that time. This is in like 2009. And they were able to, those old computers were able to, I called it my redneck webcams, redneck video cameras, or whatever you want to call them. Anyway, I wasn't streaming live. I was just streaming to the computer and saving the files, through the, from the USB cameras. So anyway, and it didn't use a lot of resources. Actually, VLC uses a lot of resources when you save a stream now. I don't know what's changed. I guess it's software bloat get you again. But back then, it worked really well, and that was MPEG, what they would call MPEG 1 now. Now we're at MPEG 4 or MP4, but MJPEG is a different format. It's a different. If you wanted to, I believe you could transcode a video to MJPEG if you wanted, but it's not something you would want to do because you couldn't really use it in very many places. But as for streaming, there's a lot more besides RTSP. You can stream, like what I usually do, if I'm going to save the file as an MP4, you can also encapsulate it in an MP4. And that's a lot less work for your machine. If it doesn't have to change the codec or codec is. I'm not gonna. I'm not explaining things well. Codec. When I think of codec, I think of it as what you're going to transcode it into. But then you have your. I think they still call it codec when you're talking about what you encapsulate it in, like MJPEG, RTSP, and all that. So, blah blah blah. This is what you do, right here. Sorry. I like to try to explain things to where, if you try to do, if I would, head off the trouble at the pass, thinks it's going to hang you up, but I feel like now I just went in circles so bad it wasn't any help, but maybe it is. I don't know. Okay, so I've got it's a camera type, network camera. The URL, that's the sticky part that'll get you. You can't just put in the right IP address. You got to have the right port, and then depending on the sending and receiving software, both you have to. You may or may not need /video on the end. Well, in this case, it depends on my streaming software, the sending software that's on my phones, and you have to have that. You have to have the /video in here, and I learned that from learning how to do OBS Studio. Well, I did learn it from VLC and it was usually didn't do that, and so that threw me for a loop when I first started using OBS Studio. So anyway, and then no username, password for me. The camera type I had, once I clicked on that box, it discovered what kind of camera it was, and I have no other choice. So, and happily it does work. So I clicked OK, and in a minute it should come up. Yeah, now we got 2 cameras. So there it is now, camera 2, and that's fine. That's actually the way I number those cameras. So I did that on purpose. The first one I was just trying to do it, but it's working out good. Oh, guess what? That's not right. This is camera 3. Yeah. So see, now for me, it would confuse me big time. So I need to change that name. I just clicked on my camera 2 in OBS, and then I clicked on camera 3. So camera 3 needs to be named camera 3. And you can do that. You can, I think, can I rename that? Uh-oh. I thought you do it down in here. You can rename it right there. Simple right there. Okay. And it's I thought you was going to have to click apply. Usually you have to click apply up there. How do you make that stick? And I haven't tried changing any settings, like automatic brightness would be nice, but maybe you can control the IP webcam camera. It might be able to do that, but I'm not going to change any of that. Let's see. Some changes you have to reboot but it'll tell you that. So, now it says apply. When I clicked on camera 1, then it said apply. That should work then. Seems a little the speed of how fast things load. I started to say have a lot to do with it is going to have a lot to do with your network, but I don't have any delays like that when I'm using OBS to switch from one camera to the other. Like, see, here's camera 1, here's camera 3, back to desktop. Works pretty fast, but over here in this, it's probably that slow because it's running on a Raspberry Pi, the MotionEyeOS. So for it to do all this work, saving stuff and then sending the stream back out for me to see it over my web browser, then that's to be expected on a 700 megahertz single core with 512 megabyte of RAM. That's actually pretty good for that, isn't it? So Yeah, and you can click on it, and it'll show you the menus, and then you could get to its settings straight for just that camera. Click on that one. I guess you got to get off of that one first. Oh, now both of them. I don't know. There. Oh, it's kind of weird. I would expect it to just only highlight the one that you're on. But see, now there's camera 1. Okay, so go back to camera 3. Do that. Okay. Yeah, okay, so you've got to be in the camera. You got to have a camera up, camera list up. I'm just going to put it on 3 for my peace of mind here. Now, let me go ahead and get on camera 3 again for the video itself. And right up at here is my Raspberry Pi. You can't really see it sitting on top of that computer there. Now I'm going to get up there and plug in one of my USB webcams to it. And I was going to put it out where I could shine, show it better in the camera, but my HDMI video cable's not long enough to do that. So, and my cables, my cords, I don't know if you can see this wad of cords right here. That's the power going up to it and the network cable going up to it. That was actually the best way because, see, when I move my mic, it doesn't get all tangled up in it. That's the other reason why I couldn't put my Raspberry Pi anywhere, because I have to be able to move the mic. Okay, so let me plug that in. I won't be on the mic while I'm doing that. You might have saw the light blinking. Kind of meant to have that. Let me re-aim this camera a little bit. It's pretty hard to, that tripod's not very good. It does not do fine-tuned adjustments well at all. And I have to wait for it to leave it like that. I have to wait for it to show up in my screen, even on my, I'm using the preview on my OBS Studio to see what's going on. So anyway, I want you to be able to see when the light comes on and stuff on that. Okay, so I'm back on desktop again, right? Let me make sure. Yep. Check my sound again. Okay, so now that I know how to add a camera, I mean, all they had to do is put some text up there saying add camera. There's this wonderful thing called language, and they have all these letters that you can put together in certain arrangements, and they make words, and you can read them, and it can tell other people what it is that makes your software work or your device, or how to put something together. It's a wonderful thing. You should try it. All these little guess and by gosh things, and 3 lines, and on the phones the 3 dots that are so tiny you can't ever see them. And all right, let's add. Okay, now camera 1, camera 2, add camera. All right, now it defaults back to that. Might be that camera. I think that is that. I remember if the VCM was this one or the D-Link camera. I forgot the name of this camera. But the codec didn't work last. I'm going to leave it like that and see if it works, but I'll show you. See, we got other choices. I think I need video for Linux, because that's how Linux, that's how it interfaces with a USB camera. I do need that. But the BCM 2835 codec, okay, I've got, well, it's in there 3 times. And then there's PC camera. I'm going to try that first, but that didn't work before, so I'll try it again. Sure. It's going to, well, let's just try it. If it doesn't work, then I'll try the PC camera codec. What if it goes away? I'm afraid it might. I'm almost certain I tried it before with the BCM. It looks so familiar, and you see it in there 3 times. So it seems that the software remembers everything you've done before. So let's try the PC camera and see if that works. And then if that doesn't work, I can try my D-Link, see if it works. Because when it comes to running, oh, the light came on and it stayed on, it's working. It's going to come up. When that light comes on and stays on, that means it's working in well, period, whatever, Windows or Linux. I really don't use Windows anymore, but it takes a little while for it to kind of warm up and start working. And now that I don't know how, if, this is actually streaming these little thumbnails. Notice that's a still, oh yeah, it's working, but it's way behind. And the coloring is way off and everything. It's blinding me. It's got all these, they're supposed to be LED, well they are, oh yeah. They're supposed to be, it said when I bought it they were infrared lights, but all they are is white LEDs and they are freaking bright. If they put out any infrared, I don't know, maybe. Okay, so my camera 3, again, it's named camera 3 again. I'll call that something else. Okay, now let's get down there into the particulars of it. I don't know if I want to just call it camera 4. I don't know if it's limited on how many, characters you can use. And I do not remember the name of it. I'm just going to leave it all like one word in case it could be too many. But the front of that thing is silver, so automatic brightness. I wonder if I can turn that on and make anything better. Now it says, do you want to apply? You got to apply. We'll do that first and see if that makes any changes in the way it looks. I'd probably have to go into the, well, you can't do that. It's not plugged into this machine. There's software, for setting up your web camera that I use to make the picture look better. I mean, it's old. It does 640 by 480, I think, maximum. Let's see, oh, there it is right there. Yep, like you're probably saying, what's wrong with you? Oh, the automatic brightness did change it, didn't it? It's not really good. So I think I'll turn it off again. Usually having automatic brightness is helpful. But, because, when the light changes in the room, usually it depends, like where you're at, what kind of light you have in the room. But I'm going to leave it off in case, that might give the Pi too much to do. Brightness, what's about right now? Oh. I think it finally works because I haven't hit apply yet since I hit that button. That's about as good as it's going to get in the brightness. Let's see, compression quality. That's probably about as good as you better. Well, no. You can bring that all the way up because this is not a high resolution camera. It shouldn't work things too bad unless the Pi can't handle it. But see, it's not working the phone cameras. They're working on their own processors. Contrast. Gamma's pretty well, it's kind of yellowish, but sharpness, probably won't get any better than that. Contrast, sharpness, maybe a little less contrast might help. I don't think you're going to get real time though. So you have to guess. 320 by 240. Yeah, I see it'll do 640 by 480. Okay, we'll do that. I'm not going to try to give it a bunch of frame rate. Oh, well, it needs more than, I'll give it 10. I won't try 15. I think 15 is about the most it'll do. But I want to see myself moving, Okay, now, no rotation, sharpness. It's okay, I think. I don't know if I'd change the contrast enough for it to make any difference. Contrast don't make it look grainy when you try to have too much contrast. Now, I want to see if my other camera will work now. And I got one more USB port on that Raspberry Pi, so I'm going to try it. Now, did that help or hurt? I waved at it, but it's not even through loading. It's not seeing me move. It's just doing a still picture. I may have already... Oh, there we go. Oh, yeah, now that automatic brightness must have caused that. But it's not showing me move. Yeah, I think I'll turn that off. I think that's not good. Brightness, I don't know if it moved some or... I'll put it back kind of in the middle, a little less. Oh, the contrast that I did, that's probably what made it go wonky. Yeah. But you notice it kind of looks softer, but the colors are, it affects, contrast affects the coloring too. Gamma, it's, like I said, this is an old camera. It's not, I can make it look, I can see that it's really slow to adjust this a web camera with this, because with the way, you know, being remote and being well, it's not actually remote. No, it's on this machine, but this Raspberry Pi is so slow. So yeah, I think if you were running it on something a little more powerful, okay, now it's changed. If you try to give it too many frames per second, then you'll just end up with everything even worse. So I don't know. I'm gonna go to 5 now and see. It might be able to handle 5. I'm thinking of the Raspberry Pi and what it can handle, especially since I want to go ahead and plug in that other camera. I maybe should have left it on the smaller resolution too. Making a bigger resolution, you know, like on a regular computer, 640 by 480 is not you know, no big deal for a regular computer. But still don't move. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and try 2015. I don't think it'll even actually, the camera I don't think is capable of any more than 15. But I haven't seen my arms move or anything since, and I might have missed it. That might be moving, you know, kind of a stop motion kind of movement. But I haven't seen it since I started adjusting on it. So one of my old webcams works on MotionEye. It was just that I didn't understand the interface, and I've already griped about it enough, so I'll just say that. So sharpness, yeah, it looks awfully pink though. Let's see what we give. I think if I'll bring it down, and can't remember. One way makes it more green. Oh, what's this? It won't stop in the middle. It's either 3 or 4. Okay, see if that makes it. One way makes it more green, and one gray makes it more pink, and then it'll go purple, and I can't remember which it is. So I went less. I went from 4 to 3. Every time I do that, the camera light goes on and off. It must be rebooting the camera. Every time I change it. It doesn't do that when I'm using it on a regular machine. Now I don't know, maybe the Raspberry Pi, yeah, it's not rebooting. It'll tell you when it has to reboot. Right up there, you can do it manually too, which is cool. You can remotely reboot it. See, I'm still on 15 seconds, aren't I? Yeah, that's not. I'm going to go back down to the minimum. It probably set that at 2 because it could see that it couldn't. Well, I might have to go to the lower. Most web camera every time I plug up one of these cameras in, they always start at the lowest resolution, and I'm like, oh man, that picture's really bad and grainy. And then I remember, oh, it's because it's smaller than the preview. You know, the actual size is smaller than the preview, and so then when I bring it on up, then it gets better. You know, so I brought it down the frame rate to 2, less bottom it'll go. Some applications, and They're all different. It's almost like they just make up their own numbers because some applications will have 0 as the default, but what that actually means usually is the default for the camera, what its default resolution is. So it's really, it's working, but it's not working because, and that does happen in some software, some other Linux software with this camera. It'll just, that's all you'll get out of it. Let's go back to 320. I wouldn't try it custom. You can't make this camera work on anything, but it's got, I think it has 3 resolutions that you can choose on it. And it's only showing 2, but I wouldn't try just putting something in there. I have tried that before, I think, in some other application. I wouldn't really be using this. I just wanted to, the original idea was to put it up that very night that I did this the first time. So now the colors look richer and everything. That's as good as it's going to get. It's a little dark. I don't know if it's the brightness that needs it or maybe a little more contrast. There's no need in me just fine tuning this forever since it takes so long to do it, especially. But what I was thinking is I could use this in the living room with whatever cameras that like I said, I ordered one, a 5 megapixel security camera. You know what? It couldn't do that. I don't think it could handle it. Okay, now let's do, before I go on and do any more adding that other USB, let's see how the Raspberry Pi will do in full screen. I clicked on that hoping to get full screen. Oh yeah, you had to do that. You don't double click. You do that. Okay. Now that's my Alcatel A845L phone 3 pointing at the monitor, and the Raspberry Pi's up there on the top left of the monitor. Oh, when I hit escape and it'll go back down to that size. And then you have to see, how do you, there we go. Click in that box, that maximize box did that. So I do that. Okay, now I hit escape just without thinking. That's what when I want to get out of something, I usually always hit escape on the computer. So now this is my one pointing out the window. And if I hit that, okay, now it goes back. And you see, what's funny is, okay, these are streaming at 720 by 480, but their previews are smaller than the preview, just the preview it gave it, for this one that's 320 by whatever. Oh, I still want to double click. I've used other security apps or multiple view apps, and you usually can always double click on them. See how grainy that is? There's no point even looking at it on anything bigger than, stretching it any bigger than the preview. But I don't know why it's actually showing it up in widescreen too. That's kind of odd. Now I'm still not moving though, am I? So it's still not working right. I'm going to go ahead and plug the other one in, and then if it works, or should I plug? I could unplug. I'm worried about the Pi getting overwhelmed. I could unplug it, plug in the other one, and then if it works okay, then plug this one back in. That's what I'll do, because I'm kind of worried that plugging in another one will just, well, let's just plug in another one. Once I unplug it and plug it back in, it may not work. That's what I'm afraid. So yeah, I'll just leave all that like it is. Leave it there now. Yeah, I'm on desktop. Okay, now camera 3. Let me get up here and plug in another camera. See, all my chairs got messed up. Let me fix it. Okay, let's see. Let me check my sound too. Okay. All that moving around and doing stuff, I'm worried that something could have gone wrong. Okay, let's see. Okay, so I'm really not getting video off of the silver USB camera. Now I'm going to add another one. And this one will be, you see, it keeps on bringing up that VCM2835 codec, but that didn't work on. I tried for hours the last time. That didn't work on either camera. When I had them both plugged in, I think there was another one that showed up. But just USB camera did work on this one, so let's see how it does on that one. I don't know what VCM35 codec is, to be honest. I know I'm familiar with quite a few codecs, but that's not something I've heard of. I figure it's got to do with certain brands of web cameras. Oh, I was going to say it's not going to work, but there we go. We're getting something. Now, whether or not it'll have a picture, I don't know. We'll see. I know that trying to run these two webcams on a dual core, they can't really handle it. You'll end up having the kind of problems we're having with this one, freezing and stuff. So I'll be shocked if this can handle it, unless it does have this Raspberry Pi has a good. Oh yeah, see, there's no picture there. The Raspberry Pi has a good video processor in it, but I don't think it's being used for this kind of video processing, only just to play video, I think. I'm not sure. Really don't know. So if it were, then, that'd be cool, and it might be able to. Now I can go over here and I can work on the settings. I know that from before. Except for that codec. Where do you change the codec? Yeah, see, it went ahead and defaulted to 320 by 240, and it'll go down to 160. The biggest it'll do is 352 by 288, but I'm going to leave it on there because I know I'll be working the Pi too much. So that selecting just PC camera. Yeah, see, before when they detected them automatically, I had no option to change that I could find. Change anything that was going to help it anyway. Camera 4, I'm going to change it to I'm just going to leave that dash off in case it doesn't like dashes. And I'll hit apply just to get. So I don't think that having them both plugged in would cause it, one to work and one not to work. But in a minute, I'll unplug the one that's working, since it's not really doing anything. I want to look over the settings here for a minute. I might have to delete it and add it again, and use that VCM codec, or see if I'll unplug this one and see if unplug the silver one and see if it went back to being really red now. I wonder if the settings went back to the defaults. And that's what usually they did when I was trying to get the cameras to work and they weren't working, is it would just spin and spin and spin and spin, trying to do it, I guess, Oh, and you can turn the devices on and off. Oh, okay. So I can turn that other one off and then unplug it. It may just sit there and do that forever. But yeah, I don't have any option here to. You can't even change camera. Well, I guess that makes sense. So you can't really. Once you get it in there, that's all you can change is just settings and stuff. No, as if it was working, but it's not. So. I guess I'll have to. I don't know how long it would sit there trying. So I think I'll. I don't know if I should turn it off and hit delete. If I turn it off, it may not. I don't know if it'll show up anymore. It should, but I'm just going to hit delete. Yeah, remove D-Link camera. I'll try it the other way. I don't think it's going to work, though. Oh, I meant to unplug that other one first. That was my plan, but I didn't do it. Well, at least I'm glad to see that it does work with, not that, well, I'm just because, success. Now I know that, not that it's all that great to have. Well, of course, it doesn't really work. I mean, maybe if the only camera I had in here was that silver camera, no IP webcams or anything, maybe it would be able to handle it. That could be the problem. Every time it redoes it, see, now it's not yellow again, but it's still frozen. So now we're going to add another camera again. Oh, okay, it's sitting there hunting. Yeah, it sees that. So I'm just going to go with that default. The only other thing, there is one other thing you could do. Simple MJPEG camera, which might be the thing to do. But first I'm going to, let's see, local MMAL camera. I don't know what an MMAL is. And then remote MotionEye camera. That would be another MotionEye server, I guess. I found something where I could say that I was in advanced settings, set it as an MMJPEG, and it didn't work. Video for Linux works. That is how my webcams always have worked. Is using Video for Linux 2 or Video for Linux before 2 came out, and then in most software you have a bunch of settings you can set. I guess it might be in the advanced. I saw it. And I tried them all, the different web camera. I guess they are codecs, but they're old ones, for these cameras. Why this, why that? And you might have seen them before. And depending on the software you're using, oddly enough, it doesn't depend on your camera. It depends on your software. But it's whatever different software, like I have one right here that'll work with my cameras, GU VC View. You can pick all that stuff, and you got to pick the right one on each one. There's different on either camera for it to work. It is possible, like I was saying, I think instead of leaving this one here this time, I'll take it out first, or turn it off. I'll just turn it off. Yes, yeah, I'll just turn it off. This one doesn't come in. I don't know. What I was thinking was, if for some reason having them both plugged in was doing some sort of crosstalk, maybe the USB communications are getting crossed up. Because I have seen where I could run one of these cameras in a machine, but not both of them. I've seen that before. So maybe I should, first I'm going to get on this one, go to the settings for it, silver camera, and I'll just turn it off and see what happens there. See if that makes any difference. And then maybe I'll re-add that one again. I may go ahead and, while it's off, I'll go ahead and unplug it altogether so that it can't interfere. Because it might be rediscovered, or something. If I don't. Okay, it took it out of the previews. So now we've just got this other one. If it ever just once it decides to, yeah, I would say the Pi is being worked pretty hard here. There we go. Okay, now I'm gonna unplug the. Get up here and unplug the silver one. And I took that opportunity to listen to my sound. And I heard myself say that I was going to do what I was doing at that moment. I'm going to unplug it. Okay, now. Get back on here. Okay, so this one is... it didn't give me any trouble when I deleted it without turning it off first, so... Camera 4, yeah. I don't see the turn off. Oh, that's not it. That's not the camera. Where is the camera? I don't think you can get to the settings on it now. Huh. Well, let's just delete it and put it in again and as an MJPEG and see if that makes it work. Maybe it can't work with this one. This is the oldest one. But I always thought, well, you know, you would think that the newer the software, the less likely it is to work with the oldest camera. That hasn't been the case with these cameras in Fedora or Devane, either one. It just depends on, it seems to depend more on the camera software than the operating system. But let's go ahead and do the add again. Silver cameras, you're still in the list because I didn't delete it. I just turned it off and then unplugged it. Add camera. Now see that codec doesn't come up. Oh yeah, I've tried both of those codecs. Yeah, those are all identical numbers. BCM 2835 codec. I don't know why it keeps coming up. What I'm wondering is, do I want to go ahead and change it to USB camera? But first, I wonder if the local MMAL camera is the Raspberry Pi camera. That's the only thing I can kind of guess. That might stand for the type of how it operates, or even the cable that plugs into the Raspberry Pi, you know, the ribbon cable. I've never had a Raspberry Pi camera. I've done in a long time, really, since I've done any reading up on them, so I don't know. But anyway. Okay, so my only choices are either Video for Linux or Simple MJPEG. Okay. Oh. Well, now that's considered an IP camera then. Simple MJPEG camera, which is what happens. That's what my my IP webcam cameras, my phones, that's what it's streaming as an MJPEG. I figured that out. But I did it by saying network camera, and then it only would let me use Simple MJPEG. So that won't work. Okay. I'll see what happens if I do MML. No cameras. I figured that. So whatever, I bet you that is like the Raspberry Pi camera that it would pick up if I had one. And remote MotionEye camera, so I can only do Video for Linux. That codec didn't work, so I could try a USB camera without the other one plugged in, just for grins to see if it would actually do anything. But I'm about decided that it can't use that old D-Link. We'll see. But like my Fedora 28 system here, I think it will actually work with the D-Link, but not with the silver one, which is quite a bit newer. I mean, they're both old, but it's quite a bit newer than, you know, like 3 years newer or something. Yeah, same problem, not working. Yeah, expert settings is where I fiddled around and changed it. And I think that's kind of Let's see. I may be wrong about that. Yeah, that's not got anything to do with the cameras themselves. Video device. Let's see. Camera 4. I think that somehow got closed, and I probably looked by that 3 or 4 times. There it is. It just, the drop down, went up. But, yeah, you can't change anything about it in there other, you can't even change V4L. Looked like that highlighted itself. I don't know why. I thought maybe it was highlighting when it, earlier when it did that, when it was the only one I had in there. I thought it was highlighting when the camera was recording, kind of what it makes you think. But I went and looked on my interface for the camera itself, and it wasn't recording. Because it's doing, motion sensing, and it records on the phone itself, And I might have mentioned this before. I never had been able to figure out. I wished I could get it to just upload to Google Photos, so I wouldn't have to manually copy the file, the videos over to my backup drive and then manually delete them. It takes hour to. Let's see. I think it takes it an hour, 2 hours to copy, depending on how much is in there, to copy them over. It's called, what's it called? There's an SSH server for Android phones. And I turn that on and do it over the net Wi-Fi because it's too much trouble to get these phones out of the little, tripod rigs I've made. Well, I got rubber bands holding them in there and all that stuff. I've showed them before, but it's too much trouble. So I did it instead of taking the, the SD cards out and plugging them into the computer, which they'll write it'll copy pretty fast that way. I don't do that. I just use the Wi-Fi. So anyway, went blank. I completely blank. Okay, so back to this particular other camera. I don't think now this one I guess won't work because I think I've covered all the ways that you could possibly try it. So yeah, there's no other things I could do. I don't think you can edit. You can't edit that either. Camera ID 4. Camera 4. I guess you can't change that either. So it gives it a number as to the order you put them in there, even though I only have, I do still have 3. I just have number 3 turned off. So, it's a pretty cool application, the MotionEye, or operating system. It's an operating system. Or an application running on an operating system, basically, is what it is. But anyway, it's cool. I don't know what it's running on. Probably a Debian-based distro. I didn't. Well, the text was real small when it was booting up, and I never did see anything that told me what distro it was running on. Yeah. Okay. So it's cool, but it doesn't works on one of my cameras and not the other. Seems to work really easily. It worked for me. It was really easy to get my with using IP webcam on my phones, depending on what streaming app you're using if you're using phones. And then if you have a real IP camera, which I will have one here whenever it gets here, I may just go ahead and try it out and see how it does. After trying this out, though, I'm kind of thinking that I wonder if I can go to that. Yeah, you can go to it, it looks like. No, it doesn't show up, I don't think. Well, I guess I could. There it is, video device. Doesn't show, oh, because it's off. I guess, well, I don't want to turn it on because it's not plugged in. Let me plug it back in. I'm just going to go and delete it because it's not going to be of any use. It's, it doesn't make any video. Okay, so I couldn't get the thing to plug in. Okay, so now that I've got, I wanted to plug it in so that it would, so when I turned it on, it would show up, and then I didn't want to have any glitches in me. I'm sure I probably could have just deleted it. No, I couldn't delete it. Well, I could. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I could have just deleted it without plugging it back in. I just wanted to do it that way. But yeah, since, I mean, even if it worked, it's not a good enough camera to be good for really much of anything, just kind of a toy now. The one thing that I have seen over the last few years that these old cameras could actually be useful for, I saw a project where somebody was using them as motion sensor cameras. I mean, yeah. I don't remember the details. It's pretty complicated. I've always been fascinated with, you know, like you know how they, when what am I trying to say? Oh, like little home, not, I was going to say self-driving cars, but that's really high tech, you know, but little robots where they use, I can't think of the name of the sensors that they use, but they use usually they use a combination of cameras, or some of the earlier stuff they use LiDAR. They used cameras, especially on the little home-built robots. They figured out a way to use, you know, cheap cameras to do some of the sensing, because LiDAR used to be really expensive. Now you can buy a little LiDAR and those other kind of sensors fairly cheaply, so people are just using that. But LiDAR senses, you know, distance and all that stuff, and so that the robots won't run into things too much, you know. So anyway, I saw a product where they could use cheap webcams for that. Give them a new life, you know. Okay, so I'm going to delete that one and then get it unplugged so that it won't, if I reboot it, it won't find it again and, you know, tempt me to add it again and try it again when I know it's not going to work. But okay, let's see. And if you're wondering what that case is up there that I keep messing around with, that's my Raspberry Pi's in it. And I showed it. Actually, I didn't show it very good because I couldn't see. The phones are pretty hard to see what you're really seeing in the screen most of the time to aim them and stuff. Anyway, it's what it is I can't really move it around with all the cables sticking out of it. You know, I got 3 cables sticking out of it. I can't move it much. So, and my phone won't actually reach over there. Well, I guess I could unplug it for a short time and take it over there, but it's not all that interesting. It's just you remember when they were switching over to digital TV, that's a digital TV converter box, you know, where to get in it. Well, one year we had a lightning strike that hit, I think it went down our main electrical line coming into the house, and it didn't blow them out, but they did. Well, one of them quit working. One of them the picture was all fuzzy. We used it for years. It was 2 or 3 of those got damaged. Router and one of the TVs. Most of the stuff we had, I've had, you know, like computers and everything important to me. Just all around the house, I tried to have everything on protected power strips, you know. But those weren't, and they got damaged or ruined. Anyway, so I took the electronics out of it and used it for a box from my Raspberry Pi. And works out pretty good. Now I cut, you know, I used my router. Used a router to do a nice job of cutting out, you know, places for the cables to go in and stuff like that. So, yeah, well, if you're just using IP cameras, you're not plugging a USB camera into this thing, which is what I'd be doing. But instead of using phones, I would have IP cameras that are all self-contained and outdoor rated and all that stuff. Then I think it would. Let's see. Just go ahead and kind of go through them. And this one's actually seems to be frozen. Oh, now it's not. No, it's awful far behind though. I saw me moving around. I think it's just about. The camera itself could be doing that, or it could be. I've had these streaming, even though those are previews. They've been streaming in the browser for a long time. So let's see what's going on. I'm gonna go to that camera, and I saw one seemed to be working fine. Now let me wave in front of it. Yeah, see, I've been waving away. Okay, so that's how far behind it is. So I can't wave in front of that one. It's pointing out the window, but I just, I saw a car go by, and it seemed to. Of course, I don't know how far behind it might be. That's true too. So I think I'll. It could even. The machine's running fine. I don't think. Nothing's working too hard. Even Firefox is not messing things up. So having it in the preview mode like that is not. That's one thing I was wondering about is what it would do if you wanted to keep it to where you. Well, of course you're not going to have it up. Well, I might. What I would have. Oh yeah. I just remember something. Oh, I haven't tried this yet. How do you do that? It's in the settings. Okay, there is a way that you can. Let me show you what I'm talking about. Okay, so I'm going to get to the camera and I'll show you. I'm going to switch my monitor to the Raspberry Pi's DVI output. Well, it's HDMI, but it's on a DVI converter because my monitor doesn't have HDMI. It only has DVI. Just a command line. That's all you got. Not logged in or anything. You don't need to make you get to it from the you log in on the web interface. But I just remembered now that there's cameras to see. I saw something in there on setting, telling it to send a video signal out the DVI cable to a monitor. And that's the only way that it would be of any use plugged into the TV. I just remembered that. So now where would that be? Not sure. I guess you always have everything available no matter what camera is showing up there. Services, it might be in the expert settings. Let's see. System monitoring. When this is enabled, the system monitoring info will be overlaid on the top of the first camera frame. Oh, okay, that's not it. First network camera off. What's that? Enabling this option will turn your Raspberry Pi into a simple and fast MJPEG network camera. Oh, your Raspberry Pi. Disabling motion detection, media files, and all other advanced features works only with the CSI camera. I guess the CSI camera is, I guess it's one of the Raspberry Pi cameras. Okay, so that's not anything to do with what I'm looking for. Motion keep alive, debugging, free releases. Let's see. I think I'm going to do what I did before. Well, network services, expert, file storage, video streaming. Yeah, I see the port. Oh, that's for camera one, and then camera two or camera three, it's 8082. Okay. If you wanted to go straight to that camera, you could go to this IP and to the port, and you would see it. I believe. Let's try that. But you wouldn't see the interface. You'd just see the camera. Yeah, that's all you'll see. It's just what the camera shows. And then you can't do anything to it. Just see it. Of course, if you know, I would rather just go here. And I mean, you don't. You have an option, another user that can just view, but not, change everything. This is the administrator user. Movies, motion detection, working schedule. I don't know where I saw that. And I'm pretty sure I saw that. And I didn't try it because I didn't have a camera that was working anyway. Yeah, it's running an FTP server, a Samba server, but it doesn't have write support turned on by default. Network watch. Enable CSI camera LED. Oh, the CSI camera board. I'm, again, still. Choose an overclocking preset for your Raspberry Pi. I've tried that, overclocking it. And I think you can get it to run, well, I don't think you can get it to run quite at 750 megahertz. I think I got it to run at about 720 or 725 or something. But it really does heat up. I was saying the box, the power supply still worked in it. I don't know if it worked right, but it had a separate power supply from the video tuner, the box that I have my Pi in. So I left the power supply in there, and I hooked up a little small, computer fan to help keep it cool. But it started making noise after about a year or so. It was a used fan anyway, pretty old one. And so then I took it out and I put a heat sink on the processor and the GPU of the Raspberry Pi, and it never, that thing would get fairly warm, but it never overheated or acted up anymore. I think I quit trying to overclock it though. Let's see what it says. Modest. This is not even for my old Raspberry Pi. It doesn't even show 750 megahertz, and that's the max it'll do. Oh, 800, 250, 400. Oh, 900, 250, 450. Oh, I think it's trying to overclock the CPU and the GPU. That's what I'm guessing there. Yeah, it's got three things. What's the third thing? Anyway, I'm not going to do that. That does not show me anything that I think my mind could do. The one I was using was XBMC, then it went to Kodi, and Kodi got after the first update of Kodi, it was too bloated for this thing to run, so I went to OpenELEC or something like that. It's even more. It's a very lightweight XBMC. OpenELEMC. I don't remember the letters now, but I actually saw the file earlier today. I'm still looking for where I might. I don't know. Maybe I dreamed it. Read it. It could have read it about. It could have been a different operating system that I even saw what I'm talking about on. I'm back to. I know it's not in text overlay, but I'm going to open them all back up again so I can search everything on here. Stuff that doesn't even pertain. I might have saw it in the instructions somewhere. I don't know. Let's see. System monitoring. I already just saw that that's not. When this is enabled, system monitoring info will be overlaid on top of the first camera frame. That is not even close. Unless I saw that and completely misunderstood. Nothing about HDMI. I don't see it. But yeah, if that's one thing that this would not, if this won't send this, send this to, if it has no way, no GUI other than the web interface, then that wouldn't work. Wouldn't be, it wouldn't do me any good whatsoever to plug it into the TV, to plug the monitor output into the TV, like I was thinking. So, I just want to get out of that without saving anything. It's kind of weird. If I hit escape, it does that. And if I hit it again, it shows them both. And if I do that, then it goes like what you would expect it to do. Yeah, I got rid of all those. I don't know what changes I had accidentally done. I wasn't intending to do any changes. So I don't know. Maybe I'm all mixed up about doing that. But yeah, if I was going to use this as a control interface and a monitoring device, then it wouldn't be any good to put it in there on the TV. I wouldn't want to have to go in there to mess with it. I'd want to be right here at the computer. So it would be a good, a good surveillance server. I mean, I could have it in here. It's not going to make much enough heat to Raspberry Pi. It's not going to heat up my room like a computer would, and it's not making any noise. There's no fan in it. It's silent now, so it would be good for that. But I don't know. We'll see. Well, see, I keep going back around and around about all this now because I have a real server that I haven't got set up and going yet. HP server. It's really cool. It's let's see, 2 6-core processors. So it's got 12, cores. And then with hyper-threading, I guess what they would call it on this one, 24 cores. Whenever you run, I booted up to Fedora, live Fedora, and to another distro that has some cool hardware, monitoring apps and like Hardware Lister. I think it was something else better than that, but anyway, it showed up to be having 24 cores to every app I put on, every app that could see the cores, So which like my quad core doesn't do that. It just shows 4 cores, Even like in this system monitor. This one here is. Am I on the camera or I'm on the desktop? I'm on the desktop, okay. System monitor, if you go to about system monitor, I was just trying to show you the name of it. Where is it? There it is. KDE system monitor, that's what it is. And if you go over here and look at the cores, and you've got 1, 2, 3, 4. But if you do that on that server, you're going to see 24. And I got 64 gig of RAM in it. And it has 8 hard drives in it, but they're like 1.14 gigabytes or something like that. I can't remember. But that would be fine for the operating system. They're I'm starting to say the wrong word. They're server hard drives. That is the one thing about those HP servers of that generation. Well, even the new ones actually, because I'm watching a lot of videos on servers. I've been wanting to. For the last couple of years, I was wanting to learn about them because I've always been interested in them. And when I saw that there was a bunch of them for sale real cheap back in the early 2000s. But the reason I never got one is because you couldn't. I couldn't see a way that you could put a video card in them, and they only had like 8 gigabyte of video memory, and that's no good for a desktop. Back then, even. Now this one I can put you can put a video card in it. It'll accept quite a few different kinds of video cards, so different sizes, and And I'm not, into gaming or anything, so I don't want, I don't need. It wouldn't take the fastest hot $1,000 video card, but I wouldn't dare. I spent like $250 or $350 on the thing. I'm certainly not going to spend that kind of money on a video card. I'll spend like maybe $50 to $75 on one. Around, just get a new one, that'll go in it. And that is it. Well, if I ran it as just a server and then connect to it remotely, is one thing I was thinking about doing, and putting it in the garage, but. In the winter, it'll be fine. It makes enough heat to keep itself warm, I'm sure, but in the garage. But in the summer, it gets so hot here. All these last 5 years, I'm afraid it might damage it. I know I've got a couple of routers that I've had out there. I use them as wireless repeaters so I could have internet in the garage, and I didn't only turn them on when I was out there most of the time, and the heat gets to them. A couple of the computers, I had some old computers out there I'd use when I was out there, and one of them's about to where it won't really run anymore. And I think it gets, when they're running, they get so hot out there that it just begins to probably begins to melt the solder, with them running, Well, probably not, but I've never seen any evidence of that. I've looked, but it just, the old components, they just begin to die. So so I don't want to put it out there because what I really would like is to have it just be my main desktop, and then it makes, it's actually not that loud, but it's too loud to have running. I think when I'm trying to sleep, it doesn't. I mean, it doesn't. If it gets hot, it'll ramp up and get loud. But in normal operation, it's not really all that loud. It's just kind of like a loud desktop. But those processors are gonna make probably more heat than anything I've ever ran in here. So that would be my killer, is being able to. I was thinking, well, I could probably handle it in the, like if I shut it off when I go to bed. And just run it. Actually, right now it's under the bed, and I was thinking, I got power over there, and I can get Ethernet over there. The only thing is I would need to buy a cable to come over here to my KVM switch so I can see the monitor and get me a video card. And so anyway, point being, it's a server. Anything I want to serve, my website, a video surveillance server, backup server, anything, it just only makes sense to do it on a real server since I already have one. I've always ran my servers. I didn't run separate backup servers and all that. I just used to just back up on hard drives in my computer, and now that I'm using this Lenovo i5 that I'm streaming on right now, that's my main computer now. It's a quad core with 4 gig of RAM that was given to me, and it's a good machine. It's not real powerful, but it's just enough to be able to do what I'm doing. But anyway, you can't put. There's room where you could put a hard drive in it, but it doesn't have the power for it. And so I have a 8 terabyte and a 5 terabyte Seagate backup drives, and I back up to the 5 terabyte, and then from the 5 terabyte, I make another copy onto the 8 terabytes. I have real redundant backups. First time I've ever had true redundant backups. But I think I haven't taken them apart to see yet, but I've been seeing lots of videos and stuff that those are usually 2.5-inch drives in there, and they're SATA drives, SATA drives. And my server will take SATA drives. It has drives that are in it, or I cannot think of the name of the word. Not SCSI. I keep wanting to say SCSI, but anyway, drives for and when you just sit here and ramble on, let's see. I don't know if I've got all kinds of links for it. It's a ProLine, HP ProLine DL380 G7 Don'ts. And let's see, yeah, I paid $260 plus $37.49 shipping when I bought it. I was thinking I paid $350, but I didn't even pay $300 for it. It's over $300. It's like $350 or $375 right now with shipping. I think it has free shipping now or something. it still was there. Let's see. There's no need in having that page open right now. Yeah, see, they're wanting $349 with 0 shipping now. They still have them, but that's what it is. I bought it on March 8th this year, and I haven't got it. I played with it for a bit, and then I actually started feeling I have health problems, and I haven't just the last couple of weeks been feeling like doing much of anything. So anyway, there's kind of the basic specs, and I really kind of already told it all. SAS drives, that's what it has. 8 SAS drives, 146 gigabytes. So it's not 1.4, it's 146 gigabytes. And I haven't got them set up yet. And I'm still learning. I'm learning this stuff. Mostly I watch videos about how to do this stuff. And, of course, now I'm actually learning on real hardware. So I was trying to do it through the ILO interface remotely, and something dawned on me today. I think there's... Okay, it has 4 network ports. Yeah, right there. ILO. I think I could never connect to it at all. And you know why? Because I'm thinking of it as a desktop machine. Now, I knew I didn't need but one connection, right? But I was trying to go to the ILO. I don't believe I ever plugged anything into it. I'm pretty sure I didn't. So the next thing I want to do with that, I was about to give up on that and just try to set up the, not that it's super hard. I got into the BIOS. You go into the BIOS and then you have to click. Actually, there's a trick to getting into the section. I don't know if I ever got into the section where you set up the RAID for the hard drives in the BIOS. And I finally found some videos to where it shows you how to get in there. So you can either do it on the machine, with the keyboard and mouse, or you can do it remotely in the browser from the other machine. I wanted to do it in the browser so I could make a video of it, and do it in the browser. But I don't think I had a cable plugged into the ILO adapter. So I need to plug in an Ethernet cable to port 1 like I did before, and then I'll just try it again and plug in another cable. Only thing is I'm going to have to rewire some things to make sure they're both on the same, on my same network as this machine that I'm on right now. How about that? I don't even have to. I was going to drag it out and look at it. That's what I think that was my problem. I was afraid that the passwords. I wasn't ever going to figure. I didn't want to reset the ILO because I did find the place where you can change the passwords, and I did change passwords and everything. But I didn't want to reset the ILO because there's licenses, and if it has a license in it, if I delete it, then I'm screwed. I won't be able to do really much of anything in the remote setup. So I don't want to reset it to factory defaults, unless I have to. So if nobody still hadn't reviewed it. I hadn't had any problems with it other than I still don't know if, of course, now the warranty was only like 30 days or 90 days or something. I think it says it right in there somewhere. As a used item, of course it's not brand new if you didn't already know that for a server. But I forgot what year they were made, but these things were expensive back when they were new. And I'll tell you, I'll plug Morton right now. Where is it, Morton? Let's see. See if I can see something about HP. I just was going to click on one of them. Well, here you go. There's his main channel, I think. This guy is a server admin, and he has taught the world so much, taught me so much about... He's also, his education was actually in electronics, and so he knows electronics pretty well too. And he doesn't go into super great technical detail like Dave Jones or Big Clive. If you've ever heard of those guys, Dave Jones is my favorite one to watch for technical details about electronics and learning how to really, diagnose or build electronic things. I've always wanted to do that. But learning about servers, he's my favorite, Morton is. And I watch it. I watch almost every video he makes. He's just a nice fellow, and he's fun to watch. But he knows his batteries too. He's doing battery projects and solar projects all the time. He knows that stuff. He doesn't come off like a smart aleck, know-it-all kind of guy. So I enjoy watching him. And let's see. He also makes movies. He has. I think you'd see his link to his movie channel on it, like probably right there. I know that's just other people. I don't know how that works. I really don't really look at it. But somewhere he has he makes real movies, and they're good. Some of them are in. He lives in. He speaks English pretty well. As a matter of fact, over the years, he's been doing these videos like 5 years or more. And some of his earlier videos, it was kind of hard to understand him, but he's really fluent in English now. I mean, he's still kind of he doesn't know how to say certain things like barracuda. He says that really funny, but sometimes he just doesn't know what word he's trying to say. He knows it in I think Dutch is his native language. Can't remember which country. He lives in one of those countries right there in that little area where they speak Dutch. I call it little because I'm a Texan. Everything's little compared to Texas, except for Australia. If you didn't know, Australia's bigger than the whole United States. I didn't know that till recently. I keep wanting to click on that because that's what you do, when you see that. Oh yeah, back to the Pro line. Mine. The thing I've made several videos on it already, but just checking the heat sink paste, first thing I did, and getting it my first startup and all that stuff. But I haven't installed anything on it yet or anything. And I've got a bunch of videos that I saved here these are other people's. Most of these are all other people's videos. ILO 3. I was looking at I forgot what I was trying to say. I'd have to refresh my memory to go back and work on it again. I'm pretty sure, but because it's been several months, since I've actually messed with it. And the HP site. Well, it has still has the information, but any downloads or anything, they're gone now. I don't even know if you could even update the firmware on anything anymore. But that wouldn't really matter. It's all as long as it's working like it is. I'm not going to be running a business server or anything. But yeah, it's a bunch of PDFs on different things, but they're really long and drawn out. Typical company manuals, Anyway, so that's why I keep going around about how should I really set everything up. I like to get things set up and leave them. Like my web server, usually I set it up and it runs for years. But I was running I've always used desktop machines, and I was running on a IBM single core, about, what was it, 2.5 gigahertz. Yeah, 2.5 gigahertz. And I ran it for a couple of years, maybe 3, and then the fan started making noise, and I have a bunch of old machines, so I thought, well, I didn't have any fans that were any better. One thing is the fans are the old type. They're not speed controlled. So if you put a speed control fan in it, then it just runs. It doesn't see the controller, so it runs full blast. So it's really loud. I tried all that, and then I decided, all right, I'm going to put that old Acer laptop been laying around here, and it's a dual core, and I had 3 or 4 gig of RAM for it, something. I don't remember what I had for it now. Anyway, but I've showed it less lately in some of these videos because I used it to write my image for the now gone blank here. I used it to write my image for MotionEyeOS, and okay, so that one should go to one of these cameras. Yeah, it goes to the outside camera. Now I'm catching on to and then that takes us back to the interface. So yeah, let's see. How do you do just? I didn't ever really show a regular user. Let's see. So I went ahead and changed it from the default name to Dawn, and now I realize I probably want to do it differently than that. But and I put a password in there, and really, for everybody to be able to look at it here in the house, I would really just not want to put a password in, just the viewing. Because that's why I didn't ever save that, because I knew there was 2 different passwords for the same IP address, and that would just cause real headaches. So there you go. Now here's what you can do. You can view it. What I would do if I was going to use it is take the see, I keep hitting escape and then it doesn't. And so you can, that's all you can see there is just if you wanted to change the settings on the camera. Let's see, what else can you see? Wireless network, there is no wireless network, so you can change the IP. I don't know why they'd let you do that without being, well, I am logged in, but as, you know, like just a regular user. Oh, that's all turned off right now. So that's only on by default in admin. I mean, I guess I could just turn it on, but SSH server. That way, if you did have videos copied, that's what I would do, is turn that on. So if you had videos, you could copy them to your backup drive. You know, so I would just, and I guess you could just. No, I don't want to reboot it. Okay, yeah, that's one of the instances where you got to reboot it if you're doing network changes, I guess. Expert, oh, that's in the expert settings. Okay, I guess this is the one that I thought enabled system monitoring. I misunderstood what it was doing. It's just info that'll be on, you know, just text, whatever it is. I don't know. I guess we could see what it is. I don't know what'll happen. I don't want it to reboot because it's already still hanging on to that last thing that I was doing. So MeI with all those letters and numbers is the default host name, I believe, is what that is. So that's the supported devices. Okay, I'm going to look at. See. Oh, well, now that's strange. Okay, when I look at this, now I'm looking at it on OBS, but of course you're seeing it full size. I thought it looked like it was frozen, you know, it wasn't moving, and I think it was outside there. Camera 1, camera 2, I don't know. Let's see about that. Let's go back on there again. This time I'll just log in as admin so I can do whatever I want to do. Now it has my Dawn name in there. Okay. I guess I could tell that to quit asking me, but I wasn't sure whether that maybe later I would want to tell it to. Okay, well, for some reason it was frozen and now it's not. So, you know, that's the one thing I'll kind of be worried about trying to use this Raspberry Pi for this, because it's old, you know, slow one. Because, yeah, see, it's going at 1.8/1.4. I don't know. What is that? I was going to say slowest and highest and slowest, but no, and that's 4 point. I don't know what that means. You know, it looks like it's a very like a comparison. It's 1.6/0. You know, it just keeps changing. But anyway, for FPS, frames per second, and this one has 0 over there and 1 point. Now it's changing. So I know from running this, yeah, these phones is what I've been using to do my live streams for 2 or 3 years now, and I know that keeping anything, you know, OBS is the best of not working the machine too hard. VLC you can just open up VLC and see one of these streams, but it will overwork the machine really fast. That's why I don't really use it for that anymore. It didn't used to be that way. I said that earlier today, but I'm worried about how hard this would work the Raspberry Pi, and it may be that it's. Of course, I haven't rebooted it. All the stuff I did, plug it in USB cameras, it might be fine after a reboot. I just thought of that, but. Yeah, I don't know how well it could handle being well, this is just the MotionEyeOS server, you know, it's what it is. I mean, you could save, it's set up to be the complete streamer and, you know, surveillance server. I mean, you can save files, you can save videos to it. You could tell it, like you can go into the settings, you know, and tell it to, oops, that's not what I meant to do. Go into the settings and tell it to save videos on motion and all that, and none of that's turned on right now. But you can tune, you know, the settings, but somewhere in here, I think you got to go in the movies section or something. It was kind of I remember that now because I was like, movies? You mean videos? Movies are, you know, stories with actors and stuff like that. Movie format. Now you can change the codec right there, but that would be what it recorded in. See, right now you're just viewing, but if you save the video, you would be recording it. You know, you'd be saving it and encoding it as H.264 MP4 or one of the others, you know. Oh, MKV, what I was talking about my phones do, that's Matroska. I was wrong. I thought it was an MP4, but it's Matroska. But you know what? If you go look that up, I don't know. I'm not going to go on anymore about it because I may be all completely still wet and funny about it. Yeah, motion triggered right there. So continuous recording or motion triggered. Okay, so it's on motion triggered. But preserve is on forever. So, but I've never, you know, since I never had a camera working. I wonder if it's on by default. I wonder if it's been recording videos this whole time. Let's see. Well, I guess the best way to find that out right quick is to go to these. And how do you make it quit being, oh, you go like that. You can go like that. Now, let's see if there's any videos saved. It hadn't, yeah, see, it's still not turned on. There's something not turned on yet to make it record videos, which is really good because I've only got this on there's only like 1 gigabyte of space here. But, yeah, I'm not sure why it hasn't. It looks like it's turned on. There's probably something that needs to be turned on. The video streaming, let's see. I guess that is that it could, well, yeah. Okay, so that's being picked up from my camera, IP webcam streaming out on my network. Being picked up by MotionEye. And then, you know, when you go to the IP address and you just see that single, that is this MotionEyeOS streaming it once again back out on my network. So, you know, it's really a lot going on here. It's picking up a camera stream, putting it in its operating system, and then restreaming it again. So I wonder what that's doing to my network bandwidth, huh? Um, I guess that's, you can't get away from that with an IP camera though. With a regular just camera, standalone camera, I hadn't thought about it that way, but it'd still be the same thing. It's got software on it that's sending out a camera stream, video stream, and then you're going to pick it up with some sort of software. You can either just go straight to its page, like I've been doing here. Like this is the like MotionEyeOS has its admin page and viewing page. Well, so does IP webcam, and it has some things you can do to the camera there too. You can do some settings and things, and you can see when it's recording right here, and it sees motion. It'll record for 5 minutes. That's the least you can set it to. I'd rather it not be that long, but because you get stuff that nothing's going on. I'd rather record 30 seconds, maybe a minute to be safe, and then stay off until another movement comes along. But then this camera's running too, and you can do audio too, but I don't do audio because I'm pointing the camera out. Well, this one I'm pointing the camera outside, and you don't need to hear the audio from me in here. You need to hear me talking to myself and everything else. So, and you can't get the outside audio. You're not going to get anything like if the wind blew real hard or something, but you'd always get me. So, so see, IP webcam streaming. It's already got a server on my phone sending it out, and then MotionEyeOS is picking it up, and then it's restreaming it. So that's why you can go to. You see, this is port 8080, and that's probably maybe why it didn't start with port 8080. So this one, if you want to see the stream of MotionEyeOS, then you go to 8081. Well, let's go to 8082. That'll be camera 3. Let's see, did I get it right? Oh, I'm on the wrong IP address. I got to go to this IP address. And then you'll just see that's all you can do, no controls or anything. So right now, normally I'm running the IP webcam to stream on my local network, picking it up with OBS Studio, sending it out to YouTube. Well, right at this moment, all these last couple hours here, I've been actually as far as on my local network, I've been, I know that when you're not watching it, it's not it's not overworking your routers as much as when you are watching the streams, like when I'm streaming a video. But that's something to consider, because even if I have, I'll figure out more about it when I get that camera that I bought. Let's see that. Let's see. I'm trying to figure out how can I find it right quick. There's a long list of cameras in there. Oh, I know how I can. Wait, I don't remember. Where did I buy it? I think I bought it at Amazon. So, yeah, there it is right there. I think that'll take you to that takes you to the order. Let's see. Thought it would show right there where it's supposed to be getting here between the 13th and the 14th, so it should be here really soon. Tomorrow or the next day. Okay, so yeah, let's see. Oh yeah, it has an extra 10% off. I say I didn't pay that much for it. It was 52 or 3 or something with that 10%. So it's a 5 megapixel. H.265 is supposed to be a whole lot less bandwidth usage than H.264. What they keep saying everywhere you read it. Outdoor camera, and this one doesn't have the same exact, normal. Looks a lot like the regular outdoor cameras, but it's different. You can see it's a little different looking. which that wasn't why I picked it. I almost didn't pick it because of that. I thought because it doesn't have a sunshade on top. I thought I don't know about that, but then the specs and the ones how many of them break, and this is a picture of its circuit board, because I was wondering, well, where do you put the SD card in this one? And that's where it goes. So it records to an SD card. I mean, you don't have to have it, but that is one of the reasons why I wanted this kind of camera, because you're always going to have trouble on your network. I know that from streaming live videos with IP cameras, you're always going to have dropouts and stuff like that. Or sometimes it'll just freeze and you'll have a still image. And these things are going to run 24/7. And so if that happens, as long as it's just the stream not working, you'll still be getting your recordings on your SD card. So that's why I decided on one of these kinds instead of the ones that what they do is a live stream back to it's basically a router and a DVR and a video, and sending the video out to your TV or whatever or a computer monitor or whatever you want to hook it up to. Those ones that come with they call them NVRs, but so it would be, and that's what you get right there. And you can wire it and if I just can't use the thing at all over Wi-Fi because it 5 megapixels, then I could hook it up to at least that one. I can hook it up to my router here in my room. But well, I started to say earlier, I'm going to end up having to buy some cables. I never did get to finish that sentence. I'm not going to have enough. I need some Cat 6 cables. That's what I need. I actually have some Cat 6 cable. I did back in 2000. I had a job installing telecommunications equipment in telephone company central offices, and we were installing a lot of Cat 6 cable for DSL equipment. Sending out this DSL. The telephone company central office, if you don't know what that is, that's the switching buildings for the telephone calls and internet and everything that we use from to today, and all the wired internet. That's where all of your internet ISPs have to go through all of the every town, every so many miles has another CO, they call it. We call them COs, and all that has to be sent through there. Even if it's something wireless, it's still at some point probably going to go through a wired system. So anyway, that company would throw away any spools of wire that were less than like 40 feet long. They would throw them away, just throw them in the dumpster. And so I saved some. And they're Cat 6 cable, about 24 pairs or more. And so it takes 5 actual pieces of wires. They call them, they're wrapped in pairs, they call them. But anyway, a Cat's, a Cat 5 cable will have, I think it uses 5 wires, and some like the faster ones, I think they'll have 8 wires in them. So anyway, I could wire it. I'd have to buy some connectors, and I don't see so good anymore. There's another reason why I haven't done it yet, but I can buy the connectors pretty cheap and just wire me up some Cat 6 cables with that. But it's so much easier to buy them. I haven't really ever done that. When they go on sale real cheap. But I'll tell you what, you pay cheap, you get cheap. I've got 2 Cat 6 cables they've just been right here in the house, just plugged in. I want to plug them and move them to another machine once in a while, and all the insulation is tore right at the connector on both of them. And also the outer wrapping, the jacket is terrible. It's just cheap, thin crap. As a matter of fact, when you buy cables, you might be buying something that says it's Cat 6, and that it's a copper cable, and copper transmits audio and data really well, and it's a whole science to it. But the knockoff cables, the cheap Chinese or whatever country they come from, they will use. I was trying to remember last night. I think a lot of them are aluminum and they're coated with a copper coating, a thin copper coating. Well, first, that's going to scrape off real quick or break down inside the jacket. And so your data you're going to get drop packets in your digital data. You're going to be reusing it for audio, which, if it's a Cat 6 Pebble, you're probably not running straight audio over it. If you're running audio through it, it's probably be like, digital audio. Anyway, I'm going into too much stuff, but, and video, like what I am talking about, well, I am talking about audio and video streaming, but, I'm going to have to get a cough drop, I guess. Anyway, it's one area where you really don't want to go too. It's not that the price you say go too cheap, but cheap in the sense of cheaply made, poorly made, and it's kind of hard to. They'll put UL listed on them and stuff, when they're not. They're just printing it on there. There are some, I think it's called cableinstall.com is where I learned what had been actually going on, the last few years. I've been reading that on and off ever since. I don't remember when I discovered the site and the magazine, but I thought it was interesting, even though I, only did that for about not even a whole year back in 2000, but I learned a lot. And anyway, it's the cable that is not really not solid copper. It's very poor cable for networking or for sound cable, for like mics and everything else. So maybe that price, it looks too good to be true, may actually be too good to be true on cable sometimes. So, and that cable I've been sitting there looking at right now, the one that's plugged in the Raspberry Pi, it says it's Cat 6, but I've never really had a way to confirm what's the fastest speed they can actually, work at. All I can go by is, I always thought I'd like to set up a speed test server right here and test my local network, because all I can go by is that, yeah, it'll do 200 megabits. That's the fastest speed I get on my download on my internet, But yeah, when this thing gets here, I'll this is an IP camera, and see 5 megapixels. It's bigger than 1080p. It's too. I'm not even familiar with this number because I've never had anything that would do it. 2560 by 1920, and 1080p is 1920 by 1080. So that's why the cabling is going to be important to me pretty soon. Well, my routers can do. They can do on the 2.4 gigahertz. I think it'll do about 1200 megabits, and on the I don't have anything that can use this router is not going to be able to do it. I mean, this camera is not going to be able to do the 5 megahertz either. Kind of wanted one that would, but with the prices and the reviews on them, there was another brand, a couple other brands that did both, 2.4 and 5 megahertz, but they just had too many bad reviews. I'm afraid I'd buy one and it'd break. So after one of my other videos, I showed through some of my research, and I just finally, this one came up. I hadn't seen it before, and I finally decided to try this one. I was really staying away from the ones that their app wouldn't work on my phones, because some of them you can't set them up without the app, and this one actually will not work not only on my phones, but we've got one 10-inch tablet that I got from my mom that usually if it won't work on my phones, the app will work on it because it's newer, but I don't think it would even work on that either. But then I found something that you could just plug in the Ethernet cable and set it up with the computer, so hopefully that'll be fine. I was trying to find anything that seemed interesting about it there. I'll click on it. It doesn't have a super large amount of ratings, but in that small of amount of ratings to have 85% 5-star, I thought that was pretty good. And the other ones just had so many other negative things. I can't remember. I started to go through all those pictures, but I won't do that right now. I think you take the, you open it up to get to the SD card. It doesn't just have a little, which can be kind of good, because I kind of thought, well, you know what? Any thief that's smart might just go straight for your SD card and take it out, you know, and they'll have them on SD card too. Even if they, you know, of course they could grab the camera too if they wanted to fool with trying to yank it off your wall, but I think this one you have to really take the back off or the front off to get, I think it's the back to get to the SD card. I can't remember now, but there's so many of them I've seen. Anyway, it's one of the hardest things I've found to find something that I thought was worth buying. But I did decide I wanted at least one camera that was 5 megapixel, something that could actually have a chance of reading license plates, you know, because the other ones that are on good prices, they're all usually 2 megapixels and less, just like the same that I'm using to stream with here. And well, this is not a good. This is going through the window, through the screen, so that doesn't show how good it is. Well, you know that. But see, it's not too far to the street for me. So, and at that angle right there, but outside, you know, not inside the house, I might be able to get license plates if they weren't moving fast. Of course, they're gonna if they're trying to steal something from you, they're gonna stop, right? So should have plenty of time. Depends on where they really stop. But see, now that's pretty clear. It's inside and at the monitor, and I can, for instance, I can do this. I can pick this up here, and kind of hard to do. It's close, but usually if I do it like that and I don't use the zoom because it doesn't, of course, the phone doesn't have a digital zoom. Oh, the lighting's not too good, but I'm finally looking at my preview up there. But oh yeah, the lighting, that monitor fools you on that laptop. It's not very good for previewing your stream. That other laptop did a lot better. It looks really dark when it's not really dark. Anyway, you could actually, it's a little fuzzy, but you should be able to read that. So, you know, 2 megapixel is okay. Makes a pretty nice picture, better than, and that's at 720p. Now, this will do 1080p, but my network can't handle. Well, I don't think it's the network. Actually, take that back. It's not the network that can't handle it. It's the Wi-Fi chip on these phones that I think can't handle. I had that up there to see the Raspberry Pi. But the max they'll do is 72 megabits. I know that, and then they generally run around 25 to 35 megabits. They fluctuates a lot. I've watched it on an app that I have on the phone. But so these phones, they just can't do 720p is the most I can use them at. Now they can do 1080p. If I was recording straight to the phone, I always use 1080p. When I'm doing like this and I stream, then it's always at 720p. But and this camera, I don't think I ever. Let's see. So I discovered, I was really worried about that. I discovered that I think most of them let me see. Most of them can stream at one resolution and record at another, which logically to me you'd want to stream at like say 720p. So that's a decent looking picture, but and you can kind of see what's going. You can see what's going on out there, but it's not over, not locking up your band. Not using all the bandwidth on your router, because you're gonna have, plan on having at least 4 cameras, and then record at the full resolution. 5 megapixels at 2560 by 1920. Let's see. But I didn't find, I don't think I ever found this one saying anything about that. I don't know. Let's see. People, record to an SD card. But I don't know. I'm afraid that this was one of the ones that didn't even have a manual on there. I don't think there's a usually there's a link to a manual if they have one right in here. And sometimes somebody will ask a question and they'll give the URL to their website. Well, I've seen all kinds of crazy things, like one had links to the website, but it wasn't working. Most all of it was not working. So the downloads are all gone and everything. The one that I was thinking about buying. So I don't know. I get myself turned around. I get so much in my head about all the different cameras sometimes, or whatever I'm shopping for, that so I just searched all of my bookmarks for Wi-Fi security cam. And there's what I've saved that it says Wi-Fi security cam. Oops, somehow I accidentally opened something up. Now there's just accidentally opened that up somehow. I was rolling my mouse wheel. And so now sometimes they have both the word Wi-Fi and wireless in the link name, but see, there's a whole nother bunch. So I've done a lot of research, and it gets confusing after that much research. Over the last, well, actually several months, a couple of months or more, 2 or 3 months. And some of them may be really old links that I found a long time ago, too. But anyway, that's what I'm getting. I'm going to have a break now. And I'm just jambling along here. So what am I on? I'm on desktop. And nothing else to show, so I guess I'll close that. Video I'm making. Okay. So I don't know. I thought I just about decided I may end up wanting to leave this on here, but I don't know if it'll be I'll have to think about it some more. I might end up, I may still change my mind and say I want to put some of this on here. You know what? I don't know which one I'd want. I did just figure out today that the Fedora server for Raspberry Pi won't work on this one. It's only the 2 and up. Found that out today. So it would have to be, Raspberry Noobs, using Noobs, or just straight Raspberry Buster, this one here. And then just manually install the web server on it, be fine, That's what I did to my laptop. I had the Bane 8 on there, and I just installed Apache and all what I needed on there. But and it's pretty marginal, really. 700 megahertz. I've always ran. Well, I ran a 450 megahertz the first few years, but that was back back in the days of like Fedora 09, 10, 11, 12, up in, like in there. And then I went to 2.2 and a half, like 2.5 gigahertz single core, but it was a Pentium class machine. I think it was a Celeron, Pentium class, but it was a Celeron, not a Pentium 4. Too much heat with those, and Celerons weren't too bad. They did make a noticeable difference. This laptop makes a noticeable difference. It's a single core Celeron, and let's see. Anyway, I really have to go now, and I'm not even be able to, I can't even make any sense. I need to go so bad. All right. Well, so we'll see you later then, and I'll figure all this mess out some way or another. All right. Bye.